Merry Christmas. Hi, it's Taylor. This is a Christmas edition video on who's home for the holidays. I've gotten a couple of questions about couples who may be considering spending holidays apart, and that includes not just Christmas and holidays like that, but vacations. So I wanted to do a video today since it is a good themed video and to welcome you from Whistler, Canada. I'm here for my home for the holidays with my sister. Not my actual home, but it's beautiful. And let's talk about this because it can be a very tricky situation, especially for a new couple. So if you are a new couple, you do really need to assess where your relationship is at and where it's going. If it's not something that you really see as a future family for you, then it can be a reason not to spend the holidays together. Now, of course, it's one thing if you live near your family of origin, and so going home for the holidays for you is really just down the street. So you can invite your significant other to breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever it is, just to hang out with your family. And it's a lot easier. Now, it's different if you have to actually travel to see your family of origin. So you can see how that would be a much bigger step if it was a new relationship. And you have to think about what that would change about the dynamic. So for Thanksgiving or Christmas, you might feel that you might value the time with your family of origin much, much more. And that's okay. And you don't have to feel guilty about that. Now, granted, a lot of your family of origin may be pressuring you to have a significant other. They may want you to settle down. But don't let that be the reason that you bring someone fresh and new into the situation, because that can just make it worse and confusing and it can get messy. But it's true, if you do bring your romantic partner, it can sort of, take away from the focus and time that you have to spend with your family of origin. So do consider that and see what is more important to you, and as long as you keep in touch with your partner and share whatever it is that you want to share with them, whether it's presents or quality time around that holiday, or just express to them how much they mean to you, then you can absolutely do that and spend that time apart. Now, let's look at this from another angle. If you are quite serious, then it can get very, very difficult, and I would say risky, to spend that time apart. Now, if you both have the same values around family of origin time, maybe both of you would like to prioritize that time separately because they live far away. And so if you bring your significant other, maybe you feel like it's taking away from that time with your family of origin. And perhaps it is, but that is really an individual choice. Now, if it's something that you both appreciate sharing, because it's not just about you in the past and you in the future. It's just your significant other has become part of your family. They're just, a part of the unified team. Then it can be much more awkward if they're not there. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be okay on your own. You should absolutely be able to handle the time apart and spend time with your family of origin, with your parents, with your siblings, with your cousins, with your grandparents, whoever it is. And for you to be able to focus and be present in the moment, do the activities with them without always having them on your mind and checking your phone. That's not a good thing either. But if they're there at the same time, you don't want to really shift the focus from sharing with them to just sort of being a peripheral, almost like a roommate or an Airbnb guest to your family, right? That's not respectful either. So you really have to have a partner that cares about your family. Now we're just getting into the thick of this. So when your partner cares about your family, they're going to be in it with you. They're going to be asking questions about your family of origin. What do they like? What do they need? What can I do? They want to prioritize them for you and for them as well. So as long as your partner actually sees themselves as a part of your family and wants to contribute to it and bring value to it, then that would be a good time to bring them along. Now, the tricky part is when you both want to do that for each other, deciding whose home to go to when and how. So that can be where it gets tricky. So you're going to have to plan, you're going to have to talk. Communication is absolutely key. Discuss, if once you're settled into a relationship, you're going to have an opportunity. Maybe you live together, you're going to have an opportunity to talk about these things. So sit down and discuss what you want to do for these periods of time. Whether if you have a 9 to 5 job, maybe there's specific holiday days that you want to utilize and prioritize as best you can. And maybe, you don't have traditional hours. You're an entrepreneur and you want to be able to find a way to spend time with your family of origin as best you can as well. So discuss those things together, and maybe you can figure out a way to negotiate. Maybe we'll spend this Christmas or Thanksgiving with my family, and why. Discuss the whys as well, and then agree upon it. And then discuss the other holidays. Maybe you just want to go away for fun and vacation and explore, have an adventure. And that's absolutely okay to discuss now. Maybe we should switch gears. If it is just a vacation and it's not necessarily a family holiday, it can get a lot trickier spending that time apart, because usually, if you are a drinker, you will be including alcohol in a lot of those events. Now, generally speaking, I wouldn't advise not being with your partner when you're going to be consuming alcohol or anything, whatever your shtick is, but be mindful of that. There may be occasions when there's a reason for it, but if it's a no significant other policy, I would really look and question as to why. And for the most part, that shouldn't really be relevant. So as long as significant others are coming, then why not bring yours? Now, I would just say the only qualifying factor is if you're not quite there yet in your relationship. But still, you need to start establishing those roles, whether it's decision making, masculine, feminine, gender roles, it's problem solving, it's conflict resolution. All of those aspects can play out in a situation like that. Now, you have to understand, if you're committed, if you're in a heterosexual, monogamous situation, and you go for some kind of bachelorette or bachelor party abroad, if you make an exception for those, then you have to be very communicative about what is happening, what the ground rules are, what the expectations are, and why. So, you can't control everything, and you have to have trust. If you don't have trust, then there's no point in really progressing the relationship anyway. So keep that in mind. And as long as you have trust, it should be absolutely possible to do those types of trips. Now, it could be a work trip too. Maybe it's not just for fun and includes a whole bunch of alcohol. Maybe it is for something productive. And stuff can happen on those trips too. So that's why trust is key. Absolutely work on that. Develop those parts of the relationship from early on. And then you can see if it's a situation where you can manage apart, or where it actually is stranger that you're spending the time apart and you should just be going together anyway. But remember, when you are together, you don't have to be enmeshed in each other's time. You might be sleeping in the same hotel room or at somebody's house and you're a couple, but it doesn't mean that you have to be attached at the hip. So maintain that really important time that you need to have apart, whether that's having a morning cup of coffee or tea by yourself, having a half an hour to read your book without conversation, taking a walk, having a little exercise, drawing yourself a bath, whatever it is. There's so many ways to really connect with yourself and make sure that you're doing okay. Because the worst thing is when you see, or when I see a couple who feel like they have to give every waking moment of attention to their significant other, and they really just don't pay attention to anything else. They can't be present for anything else. That's not healthy. And so that's when I would recommend some time, focused time apart, so that you can start to develop that. Now, you don't have to do that. If you're able to do that in the relationship with your partner. But if they're very attached to you and they have resistance to that, then I would suggest some time physically apart until that person sort of weans off of you a bit. It doesn't mean that it can't happen. It can absolutely happen, but you're going to have to lead the way. So that is something that you might have to decide for yourself and understand why it's important. And then, you know what? Just make up for it. Have some quality time with your significant other and shower them in all the ways that you can show them how much they mean to you. In order to do that, you need to know what they need, what they're looking for, what's important to them. And so when you know what's important to you, you can prioritize it. And if someone else is important to you, you're going to prioritize what's important to them. And that may mean you're spending the holidays or vacations with them and negotiating when you get to share yours with them or not. And sometimes it's just an indication that you're not there yet. Maybe it doesn't mean that you won't ever be there, but you can take it slowly, go at the pace that you need to, or maybe it is a temporary relationship and you will never be there, and that's also okay. Remember that. The only one that lasts forever is that last one. Maybe that's a helpful discussion for you if you're dealing with that, or if you know someone who is. Please go ahead and like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, check the episode notes, lots of information there, ways to connect with me if you want an appointment as well. I do online counseling and coaching, and keep in touch. Ciao! Merry Christmas!